Hey guys, Okami Gaming here, coming at you with a video on my experience in Road to Nationals. We just had ours yesterday, and I made top 4 with my FI list here. And I wanted to go over the changes I made to my FI deck and the success of the cards. Um, I felt like I could have played better. I went 3-2 into top 8, but all in all, it was a very fun tournament. Still made top 4, so I got my national invite. So look out for me over at Nationals if you end up making it. Should be a great time in North Carolina. Gonna be lots of fun. But let's get into it. So for my list, I didn't come up with all these ideas. This list is very similar to the card guys. The card guys came out with a list just like this on just a few days ago, right before I made my video on my initial FI deck tech. And I liked so many of the ideas because I felt like the deck was lacking 3 blocks that I was playing. And I like how well this deck can block on an off turn. And it helped out a lot in the tournament yesterday. So I definitely recommend giving this list a try. I'll have a link in the description so you can check out the list whenever you want. But let's get into it. So this is the main deck of just, this will be the main 60. So you're always just gonna, for most matchups, just be running Tunic, Mask, Snapdragons, Tiger Stripe. Very basic setup, very good. This build, you're just going for consistent turn damage. If you have like a double blue hand, maybe you block with a blue and trade back damage. You're just trying to consistently pressure them. But some key points that I changed from the other video is I am not running Phoenix form build. So I'm not trying to combo off with tomes and Phoenix form. So I'm not running Inflames anymore, Phoenix forms. I'm also not running Tome, which is a big card to not be running. But I have felt this has been very more consistent into every matchup. But some new cards is Breaking Point. This card was amazing yesterday. I used it very much. Oh, let's go over my matchups actually real quick. So yesterday, round 1, I played against the Dorinthia, which I do feel like this deck struggles a little bit against Dorinthia just because of her fridge, which if you don't know what a fridge is, fridges are where they just have a lot of armor to block with, so then they don't have to block from hand. And Dorinthia has a lot of pieces of armor to be able to block your mask triggers, and it just makes it very hard to push for those wide turns against her without forcing her to block. And so my game 1 played against Dory. I ended up getting there, but it was a very close game. It came down to I had to block a couple times and just keep pressuring damage until her fridge was gone. And after her fridge was gone, I was just able to just keep pressuring every turn, 2 to 3 cards out of their hand. And eventually I got there and got the win. I was all the way down to 6 HP to do it, but we got there. It was a very close game, very tense. And then round 2, I played against an Icelander matchup, which I personally feel FI is very favored into Icelander, and I'm very comfortable with that matchup. So I did win that, and that matchup at the end looked like it came down close, but I was on the up end of the game the whole game. They ended up 1-1 at the end because on the turn that I went in for the kill, they also tried to kill me, coming in for around, I was at 9 HP and they were coming in for 10 arcane total for the turn. So I had to null rune 2 with the null rune sideboard tech to be able to survive. But we got there in the end, and it was just super close. Very good game. But I felt favored most of the time. It was just at the end they went for that big burst damage turn, and it was a little scary, but we had the blue, so we were fine. And then round 3, we played against a Prism, which I think the Prism matchup, personally, I don't think it's an auto win like a lot of people like to say. I feel like it's a very tough matchup because if you don't draw your poppers, or like if they're on heavy heralds and you don't draw your poppers, they're just gonna out damage you every time. It's really hard to keep up with the damage, And obviously, if they're going mostly aura build with just a few heralds, then you're going to be fine. You beat people who are trying to force auras every day of the week. You shouldn't ever struggle with that, but you do have to respect the herald game plan. So if they're sideboarding heralds, or if they're just running a more herald heavy build, you definitely need to just respect it. Bring in your erase faces and your CNCs. Even against auras, they're still good. They block at least one herald of protection that comes at you, or you can use them to destroy an arsenal, shut off their auras for a turn. No matter what build they're on, they're just very good. But the game does not feel close at all. It's either... Well, I mean, the game does feel close, sorry. It usually comes down to the last little bit. So every incremental damage matters. If you don't have a big turn, you need to be blocking, because that damage adds up. But I ended up losing that matchup. It was a very close game. I just wasn't able to draw poppers. The turns needed to draw poppers, and that's just how the game goes sometime. The matchup's very tough. I felt like we both played very well, and it just was a very close game. But so we started off 2-1, and then round 4 we played a Phi mirror, and we completely dominated that game. They were on more of a combo Phi, so they weren't able to. So I was able to block their break points with my 3 blocks, and make it so they couldn't. Like I was able, sorry, not break points, but I was able to block their 3 attacks for mass triggers very, very easily with this build, because running 9 Lava Vein Loyalty is very, very easy to block, and then be able to just come for more damage next turn. Because I didn't have to block with more than 1 card in hand, but they would have to block with 2 cards most of the time to stop my mass triggers, because on the combo build they just don't have as many 3 blocks, so it makes it very, very tough. So we got there. They didn't really have any big turns, so it was kind of a one-sided game. It wasn't very close. It was very unfortunate for them. And then so after that we were locked for top 8, because there was only a 17-person tournament, so you just needed 3 wins to make top 8 at this one. But so the final round, it was another Phi mirror, and I made a couple of misplays, which costed me the game. I decided to let 1 mask trigger go through, because I felt like I had a big enough turn that it's okay that they draw another card and come in for another 3 or 4 damage, and then they drew a Lava Burst and came in for 8 damage with a Phoenix Flame and Lava Burst. And it was very unfortunate, and it made the game much harder. And yeah, we just punted that game. I should have just blocked it out, and I decided not to, and it was just a mistake. But now I know I will not make that mistake again. But it was, all in all, it was still a good game. Still a very good game. And then after that, we get to top 8. And top 8, I play against another Prism. And they were more on an aura plan with some heralds. So they were trying to... They had an Odoraph and Merciful down, and they were just trying to poke me down with Spectral Shields with that combo. I was able to just keep pressuring damage and then blow up an aura at the end of my turn, almost every turn. And eventually we just got there. It felt very one-sided for me. That game didn't feel very hard. It was just hard in the sense that I had to make sure to not die to too much chip damage, because I wasn't running any Arcane Barrier, because I wasn't expecting a Merciful plan. I was expecting more of a Herald build. But I still don't think you bring in Arcane Barrier, because if they're going Merciful build, they're just not going to do enough damage. You just are able to erase that so fast, and you can always blow up the Merciful for Phoenix Flame. And it's really not too bad. But we ended up getting there, so then we got into top 4, we got our Nationals invite, and then we played against the Prism we lost to in Swiss, and that was a grinder of a game. It was a super close, super good game. We were 1-to-1 HP, and just trading back and forth of attacks and blocks, and I was just 1 blue off from being able to put in that 3rd attack to take tempo back, but I just kept drawing just yellows and reds, didn't get a blue to be able to sword and play Phoenix Flame. It was just very unfortunate, but it was a super close game, very good. Probably one of the best Prisms games I've played with this deck. And all in all, it was a very fun tournament. I ended up getting a cold foil Dromite. Let's see if I can put it up on the camera for you guys. Ended up getting a little cold foil Dromite adult hero. Very excited about that because I plan on building her for CC next, which I'm very excited to do. I plan on foiling that out because I love dragons. Dragons are cool. And all in all, I thought it was a great Road Nationals. Had lots of fun. Met a couple new people that came up from downstate, and just all in all, it was a great time. Great tournament, and had lots of fun. And I plan on going to North Carolina. I think it would be lots of fun to go to the Nationals, because I already went to the Pro Tour, so I feel like I have to go to Nationals. I got to try again. I want to get that top 8 at a big tournament. Don't know what I'm going to be practicing to play that. I'm going to be practicing a few decks from here on out to get ready for that. But I hope you guys can make it and maybe come say hi, and we can all have a good time at Nationals. But let's get back into it. So we're talking about Breaking Point. It was a great card. Another change I made to the deck was I did add in yellow Lava Vein loyalties. I like those a lot because it's another 3 block, which was great, and it was a yellow pitch for Art of War turns, which was really nice. It's just another yellow pitch for sword if you don't have a blue, so you can still sword with a 0 cost hand. All in all, was a great include. And then another new include I really enjoyed in this list was Mounting Angers. That came in very, very well. Just that 4 breakpoint in this deck is huge for mass triggers. If you can like lead with a Mounting Anger and then nobody wants to block the sword, even though I feel like people should be blocking the sword more, but like let's say you have a Mounting Anger and you banish a Cinderclaw from your hand. Now you're going to attack with the sword, force them to have to block it, because otherwise they're going to have to block with 2 cards to stop your mass trigger, which is huge. And yeah, it's just an amazing card. I don't know why I wasn't running it before, even when I go back and try to and decide to build a Combo Fi deck again, because I will, because I think Combo Fi is still cool. I just don't think it's competitively there right now. I think these types of lists are going to be way more successful in competitive play, but I could be wrong. But I felt like this was way better than Combo Fi because you have way less dead hands and just feels way more consistent. But Mounting Anger, so good. Must include in every Fi deck now. I think this card is just insane. And then another new include was Snatch. I was not running these before. This was very useful. Just ending the turn with a Snatch to be able to draw an Arsenal card was so relevant in all my games. I had so many times where I would go Snatch on hit, draw 2 cards because of Mask Trigger, and I had Snapdragons up, and it just forced them to have to block, because there's no way they can just let me get 2 cards with Go again, because it's just going to be so much more damage coming through if they do. Very, very good include. I loved it. And then these were all new includes right here. Salt the Wound, I finally tried around. I did end up liking it. I felt like I mostly was pitching it and blocking with it, but the few times I did get it off, it was nice. A nice 0 for 5 at the end of the turn, or 0 for 4 to end the turn off was very nice, and I liked the synergy with it with Tiger Stripe Shuko. So if I only got 1 Phoenix Flame off, or just 1 of anything that's 2 or less, then if I don't have the Lava Burst to Shuko, Salt the Wound with Shuko is also very nice. So it just felt very nice. It felt like another Lava Burst most of the time, which is very good because we love Lava Burst. I definitely liked it a lot. And then Cinderskin Devotion, we ran these because it's just a blue, blocks for 3, and at worst, if you have a double blue hand, you can swing with sword, swing with this after you lead with a red card, and it's just extra damage for that 1 resource you have. And then another blue we were running was Flying Kick. I really did actually like this. I attacked with it only a couple times. Usually you're going to block or pitch with it, but it is very relevant, being able to end the turn with a 2 for 5, because it's just another Salt the Wound or Lava Burst at the end of the day, but obviously it costs 2, so it's not for free. But if you have those extra resources, it's worth it. It's damage. But yeah, so that's the changes for the main deck. I felt like this list was very nice, very consistent. But let's go into the sideboard. So pretty much the sideboard was just for Ice Heroes and Lexi. Because Ice Heroes, you need to respect them. They will shut you down sometimes. You just bring in Belittle packages with Minnowism for any Ice Hero you go against. And I was running a Thaw on the sideboard. I forgot to mention this. This shouldn't be here in the final list. This should be a Great Furnace. I just don't own one yet. Which, so the final variation of this list after I pick up a Furnace, you definitely want to not run this and run Furnace instead. I only brought it in against Icelander because I played against Icelander, but all in all, this card should be a Furnace for sideboarding because against aggro matchups, you don't want the Tunic. You want to have 3 extra HP. But, so yeah, against Ice Heroes, it was pretty much you just brought in Belittle Minnowisms and just to get those extra blues in hand. It's just, Belittle Minnowism is just such a good meta right now. And then for any wizards, we got our Null Rune, just like the other deck. Comes in very handy. Against Icelander, you definitely want to be pitching to stop arcane damage quite often. Most of the time, there's going to be a chance to pitch a blue to block a damage and pay your last 2 resources so you don't discard. Stuff like that. Just that incremental damage, it really, really matters at the end of the game. And then for my last new include was Mask of Pouncing Lynx. I actually did not get to use it at all yesterday because I didn't play against an Oldhim or a Bravo. But you essentially just want to bring this in against Oldhim or Bravo because you're most likely never going to trigger Mask of Momentum against them. So just being able to hit like a Phoenix Flame and then Mask of Pouncing Lynx for your 4th attack, grab like a Lava Burst. Or if you have a huge turn, grab Assault the Wound. Just super strong. Super strong. But, yeah, that's about it. This is what I played, and it was just a lot of fun. That's all I gotta say about my Road to Nationals experience. It's just a great time, and I hope everybody else had a great time at their Road to Nationals if they got to make it out. But I thought for something else that'd be interesting to look at is... If somebody hasn't seen this yet, LSS did come out with a Road to Nationals Part 1 breakdown a few days ago. And I just thought this was very interesting to see this meta. This is actually like a very... I was not expecting there to be more Briars than Phis. I honestly thought most of the Briar players were going to switch to Phi just because... of how aggressive he is, but Briar is still super good, and we see Briar got 8 wins already. I'm excited to see the second metagame breakdown to see how many more wins that she can rack up. But just seeing that she's the most represented honestly surprised me. I was not expecting there to be more Briars than any other hero in the metas. And then another big one was Viserai. The fact Viserai got 11 wins is huge for those new Belittle Viserai builds. It's just... I just think this meta is so cool. I wish I could have seen some of these. Our meta didn't have Viserai or Briar in it. We didn't have a single... Well, no, we had one Viserai, sorry. We did have one Viserai, and they did win, actually. So we did have Viserai win ours. Very good player who was on the Viserai as well. But just seeing the Viserai representation is just awesome. I love Viserai. I hated the Blood Sheaf ban, even though it was needed. I wish they would just like ban Sonata or something, and just made it so it didn't work with X spells. So I love the Rattlebones interaction and just the cool stuff you could do with it. But it looks like Viserai is still putting up great numbers, so I think I'm gonna have to give Viserai another chance because I do love the deck. And then we saw Prism got 8 wins as well. So Prism and Briar just neck and neck there, which that's not a huge surprise to me. It's pretty much a Prism and then aggro deck format. All the aggro decks are getting wins because they're eating up some Prisms, and then Prism's eating up every other deck, essentially. But yeah, and then if we look at these top 8 to win percentages, just... We're gonna ignore Kano because these are just 1 tricks and 33% out of 9 players. I mean, it's still really cool, but for an actual like good number of people getting into top 8s. 24% for Viserai is huge. So if you guys are going to a Road to Nationals soon, look out for Viserai. Have some tech ready for him. He is scary right now. Respect him. Same with Briar. You gotta respect her. Or even try them out. They're very good decks. Very fun to pick up. I don't think they're easy to play. A lot of people make the misconception because they're an aggro deck, they're very easy to play, but Runeblade does have a lot of small interactions that matter, that if you don't take the time to learn them, you will get outclassed by other Runeblades and other players that do know the interactions. But yeah, I hope you guys get to make it out to some of these Road to Nationals and have some fun of your own. This is about all I had to say about it. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave a comment. Please like the video. And I'll catch you next time at the next video. Thanks, guys.